So here's the blade I cut out. I didn't film the grinding or the drilling. It would just be noisy and it wouldn't be very entertaining. So this is the blade that I shaped out. It's a little different than the template because it wasn't as long as I would have liked it to be, so that the edge, the end of it, is just a little more rounded. There's one weld flaw here that I can see. That's an actual weld flaw. But that's along the handle, so that shouldn't be a problem. But there is one right here along the edge. But if it doesn't delaminate during the heat treat, or like come up, even if it does, it's off to one side, so I might be able to grind it down. So if that happens, I can make it a chisel grind and grind that out. Or if it doesn't, I'll try and make a I'll grind this side first to try and get that out, and if I can get it out, then I'll make it a V grind or chisel grind, depending on how it is. I don't know, this is the first time I'm going to try and heat treat the Oroshigane. So it definitely could have used a couple more folds. I only went up to 4 folds, but as you can see, I didn't have very much material to work with. Next time I'll probably do some more rebar, maybe cut the piece in half and then have 2 blooms or 2 sections. You can see some of the stuff I have left over that either fell off, this piece fell off from the main chunk, or they were low carbon. So I'll probably try more rebar next time, or do a couple runs so I have enough Oroshigane that I can build up a sizable bar. I'll ask my friends and see how much reduction they get, because I got 3 ounces of steel before grinding, and this is, I actually have the scale out here. I can measure it right now. It's 1.5. So I ground away about 2 ounces of steel, mostly from the profiling. Of course, this part back here, I'm probably going to just sand with some sandpaper and use epoxy to fill that when I put the handles on it. I'm not going to grind it too much thinner. But hopefully it doesn't delaminate here during the heat treat. But that's part of the process, and hopefully it doesn't. And hopefully I'm going to use Parks 50 heat treating oil, and hopefully that'll harden it. At least to my eye, it's maybe 0.7 carbon to 0.8 carbon. Not exactly sure. I'm not the best at telling carbon from sparks, but it's definitely higher than it was as rebar. So even if it's a medium carbon steel, Parks might harden it. If not, I could try water if it doesn't delaminate. But I heat treat at night because I don't have a shop to do it, so the camera's not going to pick anything up. So I'm going to heat treat it and bring you guys back for the tempering, or after the temper. So we'll see what I get. Hopefully it doesn't delaminate. Fingers crossed. So I just heat treated the knife, and it seems to have hardened. It's skating a file as opposed to back here where it's soft. So it didn't delaminate as far as I can see, but I'll probably still grind that out just by normal grinding. And the one on the back is still there, so, but that's near the handle. So I'm gonna go temper it, and I'll be back. So here's the blade. I ground it and sanded it a bit. As you can see, there's a couple weld flaws here, and I don't have the best lighting right now, but There's two weld flaws here that are pretty pronounced, and some on this up here. These are mostly because I just didn't grind it down thin enough down here. But these on the edge are major, I would consider major flaws in a blade. Despite that, I am going to finish up the blade. I'm just going to polish it at 32400, then buff it, then etch it with some lemon juice, see if there's any pattern to it. And then glue on the handles, I'm going to use walnut with brass pins and a brass lanyard tube, and see how that comes out. So I'll be back in a sec. Hey guys, so I finished up the blade. I polished it up to 600 grit, and then I buffed it, and then I polished it again with Mother's metal polish, and that gave it a good outline of the layers and what looks to be an auto-hamon up at the top at the spine. At least to me it does. I'm going to zoom in here and try and get some of that in there for you. So the two like shadowy lines is what I think is part of an auto-hamon, and these harder jiggly lines are more of the welding lines from the Oroshigane compaction refining. Of course, you see the weld flaws in the borax, trapped borax in there as well. But all in all, I think it's a very serviceable, functional blade. I have walnut handles on the blade, brass pins and a brass lanyard tube. I'll probably add a lanyard because the way the sheath is set up. I really like how the walnut came out. Walnut's turning into one of my favorite woods. I just loved how the richness of it and the grain that it has. Very, very beautiful. This is the sheath that I have with it. It's like my normal pocket fixed blade sheaths. The edge goes towards the fold, and it clicks in just a little bit, just enough to hold it, but not too much that you can't pull it out easily when it's in your pocket. Titanium pocket clip with double-sided tape. That's the best way that I found to attach this type of clip to Kydex. I used epoxy once, and the customer said it broke off almost immediately when he tried to put it in his pocket. And I've had a double-sided tape on one of mine other knives for probably over 2 years now, and it's holding up just fine. So I'm going to stick with the double-sided tape. But really like the blade, quite sharp. It's actually, while I was sharpening it, it bit me. Can't do anything in knife making without adding a little blood to it. But let's zoom in here and get another shot of that blade. So I don't know how well it'll show up, but on the screen it shows up pretty well. All the different lines and additions. I think this side is less visually interesting than the other side. So this one has one line in the middle, and then the auto-hamon at the top. But it did harden up. It's definitely, at least for my estimation, it's about 0.7 to 0.8 carbon. So high carbon steel. At least that's my estimate from the sparks. I'm not an expert in that, so if you think it's lower or higher, you can tell me. I'd be grateful to know. But it's hard. Has enough carbon to be hardened, so I'm happy about that. And I think it's going to be a really nice blade. Fits well in the hand, and I think it's going to be my main knife now. My EDC, everyday carry. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you join me with more Oroshigane experiments. Hopefully, or maybe one day I might make a sword out of it. But right now I'm actually going to start working on the katana project with some W1. And I'll bring you along as that goes. So thanks for watching, guys.